I have a feeling the number of times we cuss in this episode is greater than the number of times a psychic detective has cracked a case. You have been warned, content is not suitable for all listeners. Welcome! You're listening to Bewitched Banter.
I'm Krista, and I believe that people are inherently shitty.
And I'm Amy, and I tend to believe that people are naturally good.
But ironically, I'm a super believer in the supernatural and all things spiritual.
And I'm a total skeptic.
We're best friends, and this time Amy's titties aren't hanging out. But they
are a little bit.
And that's what best friends do. We just show each other our titties. We're best friends, and in this podcast, we're seeking to explore and understand each other's perspectives with deep dives into the spooky, the spiritual, the magical, and the mystical.
And some straight up spoofs.
Yeah. Today, the spoofs that Amy would definitely consider spoofs would be a psychic detective story time.
Let's get into it.
All right, so I'm actually really excited about mine because just the character. So in addition, as you well know, to Ghost Adventures, used to be part of my Friday night rituals.
It was? I didn't know that.
It was.
I don't know if I've ever watched Ghost Adventures.
Girl, you watch it with us all the time. Zach Bagans.
Oh, I didn't know. To be honest, I didn't even know what the show was called.
My name is Zach Bagans. And I don't
Corey's
even
brother
anymore.
is obsessed with Zach Bagans. We were supposed to go to Las Vegas.
For real?
Yeah. We were supposed to go to the Las Vegas, he's a museum there, right?
Yeah, actually, that shit is kind of cool.
He wanted to go there, and he's like, I love Zach Bagans.
He's such a total broski. He's like a 50-year-old bro. But I secretly love him too.
That's funny. I didn't even know the title of the show.
Yeah. So Ghost Adventures was one of my Friday night rituals.
How long has that show aired? Do you know?
Fucking years.
I think I watched it in middle school at friends' houses.
Yeah, it's been on a minute. So like I said, he's still at it and trying to be all aggressive towards spirits and ghosts and total broski.
Are you there?
Come on out. All right. Sorry, Zach. I do secretly kind of love you too. So anyway, I used to also watch a show on A&E called Psychic Kids. This host is self-proclaimed medium Chip Coffey, who happens to look and sound exactly like Mr. Garrison from South Park. I don't know if you watch South Park because
I have. I've been forced to watch it.
So
by
he's the teacher.
Countless boyfriends.
The teacher. And so that's exactly what Chip Coffey looks like and sounds like. Kids today. Anyway, his show is Psychic Kids. And it was actually quite a popular one. It aired on A&E and Biography for 3 seasons.
What year?
I don't know when it started, but it was at least back in the day of Ghost Adventures times as well.
What's that, like 2000?
2000s,
okay.
Yeah. It's been on for a minute. And it still airs today on A&E in global markets, Canada, Mexico, UK, Central America, South America, Australia, and Norway.
So it's about kids who have psychic abilities?
Yep. So he acts as their mentor towards children who say they have psychic abilities or are seeing ghosts.
Oh, okay.
I see dead peoples. Those children.
So, my person I'm going to cover sees dead people too.
Oh, cool, bro. Actually, no. Like I said, I want to see y'all. I do not. No apparitions, please. Anyway, okay, so Chip's bio bills him as an internationally acclaimed psychic, medium, paranormal investigator, lecturer, and writer.
This is on his website?
Mm-hmm. That's his bio.
Why does every psychic, not that I've been on several psychic websites, but the few I've been on through this podcast, why are they all so shitty?
They all have...
Like, they can't afford someone to design a good website?
Oh my God. Remember the one I covered with tarot? Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
I thought Sylvia Brown was really bad.
Her website was real bad.
All pastel purple and bullshit.
1990s like coding.
Comic Sans font.
Yeah. Purple. Yeah, but the fake animation.
Yeah. Same with the person I'm covering today.
Oh, boy. Okay, sorry. So, yes, he has a lengthy... I don't think they can afford copywriters either because, like, you're all those things. Like, come on. At some point, you just, like, pick one.
I don't know.
Anyway, I'm just being a copy snob now. I'm going to stick to his acting career because it was quite... His acting resume is also quite lengthy in addition to Psychic Kids. So he's also appeared on 4 seasons of A&E's network series Paranormal State, which you obviously don't know what that is, but I'm going to tell you right quick. It is Penn State, where actually was going to be my other choice of college. Penn State kids that had a paranormal group would go investigate things around the campus or Pennsylvania, and so it was called Paranormal State.
Okay, cool.
So Chip's been on that shit several times. And he was also on the show Airline, where he and his co-star Patty Starr, who's apparently also medium adjacent, they investigate a haunted place called Sloss Furnaces in Birmingham, Alabama.
My guy's a TV star too.
Oh, that's how they be conning people.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm dying to tell you where from. I have to wait.
But most recently, he's on another show that launched in 2020 on Travel Channel called Kindred Spirits. It puts him and 2 co-hosts, Amy Bruni and Adam Berry. It starts there at the Conjuring house, like the movie The Conjuring that it was based off of. They start there to investigate with the siblings, the real life kids of that story, in the house for the first time after they left the home.
Okay.
And that is in Burrville, Rhode Island. So anyways, that's the first episode of this.
So he's been on a shit ton of TV shows.
Of stuff. I mean, like, I can't even.
So he's an amazing actor who claims to be a psychic who's probably acting as a psychic.
Bingo! How'd you know?
Wow. How did I?
So his acting is down, obviously. Got that down because of that. But exactly what you just said. Very similar, like I was saying, to Alison Dubois when I covered this case. I got a lot of that vibe. Making that money, you know. Often helping people connect with their loved ones. Get it? But anyhow, Coffey was born in 1954, upstate New York. He grew up primarily in the South. And he talks like Mr. Garrison. Hence a Southern accent. And Mr. Garrison likenesses.
I'll have to listen to it later.
But now he lives in Atlanta. And supposedly he's the great-grandson of a famed Native American medicine woman. And maybe that's where he claims to get some of his powers. Her name is Minnie Sue Moreau Foster. I've actually never heard of her. Apparently he's also distantly related to Thomas Coffey, who is an actor who performed with the guy who killed Abraham Lincoln, John Wilkes Booth. So, anyway. Claims.
Wait, hold up. So Thomas Coffey did what?
He acted on stage with John Wilkes Booth. And John Wilkes Booth is the guy who killed
gotcha.
Lincoln.
Okay, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. Like Alison Dubois and Sylvia Brown, how do you think he has claimed to come to his psychic abilities?
As a child. They all do.
Also while he was a child.
My story too. A lot of similarities here.
According to Coffey, he would tell his parents, guess what? This is a real good one. Real good trick here. That the phone was about to ring and he would tell them who was calling.
And that was when he first had his psychic abilities?
Yep.
Wow. We got caller ID for that now.
Yeah, honey.
Your abilities aren't needed no longer.
Nope. You got
Shaniqua don't live here no more.
Yes. Shaniqua there.
Oh.
Okay. Now she don't live here no more. Okay. Coffee. New phone, who dis?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. He refers to his abilities as a God-given talent, and that when he reached adulthood, he really began to see full-body apparitions. So, I kind of respect this because of my belief in the other world, but he defines that there are sees a difference between ghosts and souls. He sees souls are people that have not completed their journey between the world of the living and the world of the dead. He sees ghosts have not like made their transition because of they're like stuck here. So
wait, so say it again. Souls have have made their journey.
Yeah, souls have completed the journey. Sorry, that was wordy.
And they're not. So they're not
not stuck in the plane in between like ghosts are.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. He actually had other careers besides
a psychic?
Yeah.
Medium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides that.
Yeah.
I was going to say psychometry again, but I don't know that he's claimed to use that ability in his works, or his psychic career. I don't know that he used psychometry or not, but he certainly used remote viewing in all the shows I've watched of him.
Okay.
He did, though, point being, have other careers in traditional counseling, which would make sense that he was trying to mentor psychic kids as like, it was very much like a therapist vibe.
Mm-hmm. In a nurturing sense.
Yeah. He's also, as I said, been in the entertainment industry and travel management. But he began working as a full-time psychic and medium in 2001. So 20 plus years ago. Since that time, he has claimed to conduct over 20,000 readings for clients all over the world.
That's a lot.
Right?
Do you know how long he's been working?
At least since 2001, but it's probably earlier.
Okay. Well, 20,000, I guess if you divide it by the years, is not that many.
You don't think so? I feel like
I could do that in my sleep.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of PR for these folks in this world, he got good PR, actually. He may not have good branding, but he got real good, like, clips. So here are some of the things that were claimed about him. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution called Chip every bit as accurate as John Edwards. And I don't know if you remember who that is. I covered him way the hell back.
Not really, no.
He was one of the huge TV evangelical psychics that had like filled massive auditoriums filled with people claiming to pick a person out of the audience and tell their story or say he was connecting with their loved ones.
But wasn't his wife like whispering in a mic the whole time?
Yep.
Or earphone piece?
Yep. So he was a fraud. Okay. And it got real caught out because of that exact incident. And so, but yet still, that's why it's a funny headline, because this Atlanta Journal is calling Coffey, like they're equating him with Edwards. So it's like, actually, I guess it's not a great PR, but I guess
it's not a diss.
I guess not all press is good press, as they say, especially in psychics worlds. InStyle magazine said Chip Coffey is a cross between, again, John Edward and Dr. Phil, a psychic who doesn't hesitate to tell it like it is.
So these are complimentary.
Yeah, these are all his really good PR.
Oh, okay. But I thought being related to John Edwards wouldn't be a compliment, or is this before his scandal?
It didn't tell me, but I was just pulling out how he was able to make a living for himself and claim himself as legitimate, basically. Okay. And he was also featured in Haunted Times magazine, where he was on the cover of the winter 2007 issue.
I want to be on the cover of Haunted Times.
I kind of do too, actually. I want to be on there with Zach Bagans holding me. Yeah. Anyway, let me stop. Thirst trap of the episode. Here we are. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there are actually some goods for Chip of being, as in like, a good person. I try to, again, pick out some good people. He does volunteer with hospice organizations around Atlanta.
That's really admirable.
So that and the compassion in action. Also, he's a huge animal lover. And he works with animal rights groups across the states to save animals' lives. Okay, so he's got some redemption there. Where the trouble kicks in
the shittiness
is from skeptics, no doubt, about it. So first and foremost, disproving his ability to help solve crimes and talk to loved ones. In 2014, there was a group called literally Bay Area Skeptics, and they worked with Chip to really, as a sting operation, to show that his psychic claims were all BS. And so, undercover, they attended one of his seances, and before the seance even took place, this group gave like a list of fake family members and storylines that match with each family member to Coffey's like people, his management people, I guess. And that was again before the seance. And what do you know? During the seance, Chip named very accurately the fake stories. Every single one he got right. Meanwhile, Susan Gebrick, who is the founder of the Bay Area Skeptics, quoted saying, "Coffey claimed to be clearly communicating with non-existent family members," end quote.
I mean, I'm not surprised by any of this.
Yeah, so that's the one incident. The next one...
My story actually he, in his website, which I should save it, but he addresses he calls them psychic stumpers.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
I like the alliteration there.
I'll save it for later, but
all right.
It made me think of that.
Well, you're going to love this one. And also a throwback to, I believe it was our Magicians episode. James Randi is making a comeback here as, again, disprovers. In 2009, Coffey was awarded the James Randi Education Foundation Pegasus Award. Not Pegasus like the flying horse, but the animal pig assist. And it's the name of the annual award by Randy's group. Obviously, James Randi is a notable skeptic and disproves frauds. And so this award is tongue-in-cheek, the Pegasus Award, to basically award folks their shittiness, basically.
Wow.
And call them out on their shit. And he usually announces these awards on April Fool's Day. Quote, "For the psychic who tricked the most people with the least effort." That's, by the way, how he won the award.
Wow, that's quite a diss.
Yeah, so it's like...
That's a big
shit.
F you.
Yeah, so sorry, buddy. And then people who worked with him on Paranormal State said Coffey is just outright deceptive and BS the whole series on Paranormal State and like made them say things to make it look like he was making the proper claims.
Yeah.
And then finally, I saved the best for last. In October 2013, Coffey appeared on KFXN FM. It's a morning show in Minnesota called The Power Trip. And the host, I literally read it as Corey, like your Corey, because it's spelled the same. But like last night I was like up late doing research and stuff, and I was like, oh, Corey bombed this guy? That tracks. But no, the host is named Corey Cove, and he confronted Coffey with his skepticism because Coffey just randomly like showed up at the studio for a guest appearance, like a star guest appearance, and Cove, who's a DJ, was like questioning. He's like, yeah, man, like prove it kind of thing. Testing Coffey about his abilities. And Coffey got so pissed he reportedly stormed out of the studio. And then there was like a whole Twitter battle between the DJ and Coffey for like a month. And then his psychic friends came in on it and were like, oh, Chip, sorry. Let's not put these on our people's list to see or whatever. Our no-go press list. And then all the people were like, man, didn't you see it coming, Chip, that this would happen? That you'd be defrauded? Like, couldn't you foresee this? And so it was just like this like really funny bash on Twitter. Anyway, clearly he's fake, and it's really sad because I actually, as a former believer, I used to love watching Psychic Kids and thinking, oh, he's helping children with abilities, and I was conned again.
What network was that show on?
That was on A&E, I believe.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Was it good?
I loved it.
I mean, I'm sure it's entertaining.
Because I believe that children are more prone to these things because your minds aren't shut down yet, right? So I was thinking, the poor kids seeing dead people have someone to talk to. And so I believe this dude, but obviously, it's...
I also think kids have a wild imagination sometimes, and that's just allowing them to, like, make pretend a little bit longer imaginary friend.
Yeah.
And just giving them a platform for it.
I guess. But I guess I'll try my best Mr. Garrison voice to do it because he walked out. Like, kids, I can't even do it. But, like, he's like, this is how you treat people. Like, in the tweet. Anyway. And so, anyway.
I can't imagine Garrison's voice right now, but I kind of know what you're talking about. He sounds like a...
Hold on, let me look at it. Mr. Garrison. Videos. Here we go. Okay, there. And that's what Chip looks like.
Give us a hug, girls club.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Those students are not prepared to hear this stuff. Get inside your head. Wait a minute. Nobody gets in my head, you limey bitch. Are you insulting me?
For this list, we'll be looking at times where Mr.
Yeah, I remember
Garrison
his voice
stood
now.
Kids.
or reconnecting with Mr. Hat.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Mr. Hat. That's what it was. Mr. Hat. All right. I guess it's Amy's turn.
Yay. Okay. I am going to be covering Troy Griffen. Have you heard of him?
I have not.
Okay. So I was this week short on time, and I usually know a little bit more about the whoever I'm going to cover when I start to really dig in.
Oh, no worries.
And
it's been a busy week.
And I then found out this guy was on the show that went viral the very beginning of the pandemic. I saw Tiger. What? Yes.
I saw Tiger. And a tiger somewhere. Oh, I'm not wearing my Carol Baskins PJs like I said.
Yeah, and you texted me earlier. You said you're going to wear your Carol Baskin PJs. And I said, oh, that's really fitting for my story.
Yeah, no, makes sense.
Yes.
I couldn't find them, to be honest. They're somewhere in my laundry or my parents' dryer. I don't know.
It's okay. I'll forgive you. But yes, so...
Oh my God, how is he involved with Mr. Joe?
Yes, I'll tell you. So he was on Tiger King. But before we get into it, I'm going to tell a little bit background about Troy. In Troy's own words, he said he was in the closet for several years.
Okay.
He's not gay. In the closet about his psychic abilities.
Okay. Bet you the queer community might take offense to that use of that, but...
He was afraid that if he came out about his paranormal superpowers, that people from his community, specifically his church community, would like ostracize him.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that's why for so long he didn't tell people. He was a very devoted Christian, and along with his family members, like he was related to like a pastor and a Christian author. So obviously very religious as AF.
Mm-hmm.
He claims, like every other psychic, that he knew he had the psychic abilities since the age of 12.
Like they all do, like you said.
Yeah. On his website, in his bio, he discusses that the fact, like, when anyone who is religious disapproves of his work, that he really sees his gift or his talent as a gift from God. And, like, that he's using his talent as a medium to help people. Before I really get into his story, I was digging on his website, and he had some tips and tricks and things he wanted you to read before you booked a reading with him.
Okay.
And like if you're contemplating working with a psychic, and then they just kind of made me laugh a little bit. So the first one he lists is that, no, I will not be able to help you find love or the perfect job or baby, but he can help guide.
I kind of dig that though.
Yeah, he's actually, I mean,
kind of funny.
Some of it's kind of real. And he's like, yes, I can help guide you to get to those places, but I will not get those things for you.
Okay.
Secondly, like any other therapist, he's like, no, I will not make big life decisions for you. It is up to you to make your life decisions.
Damn right. That's right.
The third one, he can't just snap his fingers and start talking to your dead relatives.
Okay.
They're like, I'm kind of summarizing them in a sentence. They're kind of long.
But I was going to say, and he's bad? I like him kind of.
He suggests that, like, hey, I can't just call up your dead papa. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
another one he talks about is you're not going to like everything you hear.
That's right.
And then he goes on a tangent, which I think is pretty genius PR move.
Okay.
He says the following. We're not going to play Stump the Psychic. Your attempt to get us to say the magic word, such as naming your childhood dog or repeating your mother's dying wish verbatim, feels confrontational from the get-go and may actually hinder the psychic process by setting up firewalls of skepticism. Basically, he's telling people you need to be open to the process.
Well, just like hypnotism.
But it almost feels like a disclaimer to me that he's kind of saying he's going to be wrong. You know what I mean? He's like covering his ass when he doesn't get things right. Or when he doesn't have psychic abilities, he's kind of covering his ass.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Did you read the fine print? I said I wasn't always right. That's what it feels like to me a little bit. The whole reason he came out as a psychic is because I think he's an adult at this stage. It didn't really tell me his age. He was hanging out with like a dear friend, and it was towards the end of the evening, and he had this vision of her like getting in a car wreck. I think her name was Diane. This is when he wasn't out about that he had these paranormal powers, right? So he expressed to his friend Diane, he's like, I'm really concerned about you driving home. And she was probably like, what? I mean, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, that's kind of bizarre. I mean, unless I was like drunk or high or some under the influence, yes, then maybe you should be concerned. But if I was leaving your house randomly and you're like, hey, Amy, I'm worried about you driving, I'd be like, are you okay? I'd be more worried about you.
Well, definitely always me driving, yes.
Well, yeah, my driving abilities.
Also, yeah, yours.
Yeah, maybe
you were even there.
Yeah, maybe. Never mind. I think people are usually concerned about me driving. But, you know what I mean? It'd be just kind of the blue if your friend all of a sudden's like deeply concerned. Wouldn't you think that's weird?
Yeah.
I would think it's weird. I mean, that's probably seemed like the end of the conversation. So that night, she drives home. And just like he predicted or he claimed to have visions of, she ended up in a car accident. So thankfully, she's okay.
Thankfully. Yeah, sorry. I'm just having visions of my boat accident. And I know I told that story already on Ep 1, but like I experienced the remote viewing situation. Mm-hmm. It was fucking scary. So yes, again, I still believe, But
I think going back to that, so like you had visions of the accident and it happened, but I think people, it's like you just had a fear. Like people have a fear sometimes like of the worst happening to them and then it actually happened.
But how could it be so clearly replayed exactly to the T? You know, like deja vu kind of thing.
But I think that all through life we think of different scenarios that might happen to us, and if it happens to us all of a sudden we're like, oh, I predicted that, and it's like, no, you just thought of different things that might potentially happen to you one day.
No, I get that, but it was
kind of like when I said in my history that psychics will suggest so many scenarios until they get one right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like that to me, that you can think of so many scenarios happening in your life, and then when happens, you're like, oh, wow, I predicted the future. And it's like, no, you just thought of different scenarios that may happen, and one happened to you.
But so it wasn't even a prediction, though. That's the difference, is like, I was in conversation, went somewhere else, remote somewhere, and saw exactly what happened, came back, and then it happened. So it wasn't really future. It was like in the moment vision. But anyway,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you should go.
I know you think I'm bullshit, but that happened to me. Then that was a real experience.
Troy sees the friend, right? And this whole event was like the whole reason Troy was like, I need to come out. I need, even if like my community and my family is going to disapprove, like, this is my calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Troy's supposed skill set is that he can predict the future and he can see dead people. Kind of like Sixth Sense, right?
Yep.
Troy does have some success stories. I'm not sure if they're because of his supernatural powers. And I will let you guys at home be the judge before I rule it out.
Okay.
One success story, according to him and others, a lady named Laura Costner, who was a mother of 2 children. She had disappeared. Like any other story, and naturally so, her family is insanely worried. And she, as time is creeping by, it's been a few weeks.
Okay.
And the sister-in-law is fed up with depending on the police because she feels like they're not making any progress on the case. She reaches out to Troy and she asks him through Facebook, like, basically, can you help us? Troy actually replies yes, and he becomes involved in the case. And Troy said that he was able to envision where Laura had disappeared, and he could even pinpoint the exact place where she had disappeared. And he said he had a real sense that drugs were involved in the case. Troy looked through Laura's Facebook, and that's kind of where I feel like you had a sense. You probably got through her Facebook a feeling, you know what I mean? Because maybe there's like pictures of her partying. I mean, I'm just guessing.
Sure.
But maybe, I'm not saying like she was holding drugs in the picture, but maybe she looked like she was like really involved in the party scene.
Sure.
So it's not too crazy to put the 2 and 2 together.
Okay.
If you're at a lot of parties, potentially there's drugs, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're gone missing. I don't think that's totally out of the blue.
Right.
Troy landed on a picture. He's browsing through her Facebook, trying to like get some clues, and he lands on a picture, and it's Laura and 3 other people. In the picture, there's a woman, there's Laura, and then 2 other men. He immediately calls Laura's family and lets them know. He's like, whoever is in this picture has something to do with the disappearance of Laura, right? So Laura's family calls the police.
Okay.
And informs them, hey, we got a tip that we think the 2 men in this picture and the woman might have been involved in the disappearance. And actually, this solved the case.
What?
A few hours later, they were able to find Laura's body.
Mm.
So one of the guys who was in the picture was a 19-year-old man. And I'm not really sure of his relation to Laura. I couldn't tell you if they were like friends, cousins. I couldn't find that. He actually robbed Laura of her pain medication.
Oh my God.
And then he killed her by hitting her over the head with a heavy object.
Jesus.
Yes. So this is the one story I can tell you. But I don't really know. I'm still skeptical if he really was.
Well, even that's a little vague. Like, you just be like, okay, this is a suspect, and just point to a suspect at that point?
I don't know. And also, like, what kind of information was he getting from Laura's sister?
Oh, right.
Because I'm sure he interviewed her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. Troy, at the time of his life when he decided he was really going to pursue like being a psychic detective, he had his own company. He had some kind of real estate affiliation. I couldn't tell you exactly what he did. And he also hosted a radio show in LA, like an entertainment show.
Okay.
And because he believed in his power so much, he actually quit his job.
Oh my gosh.
And left his business. And he's like, I'm really going to pursue my gift, like that God has given me.
Surprised he didn't do a radio show for that.
Yeah, me too. And then this is when he really decided he was going to dedicate himself to being a paranormal detective. And on the side, he also would give readings to people.
Okay.
He charges about $90 for a reading. And it is his full-time job. And I don't know if it's because of inflation, but I found another source saying $250.
Is the average? That makes sense.
But then also, it could be due to the fact that he was on Tiger King recently.
Oh.
So maybe he's
right.
able to charge a premium at this point. And Troy is very religious still, because remember, he came from a religious background.
Right.
And before he does any kind of reading, he said that he always prays. On his website, he talks about how he really wants to start the conversation of how Christians and psychics really need to be on the same team rather than Christians being against psychics. Because he's like, this is a gift God gave me. I'm trying to help people. So why are you like anti-me, basically?
Yeah, well, in theory, I appreciate that. But if he's making shit up, that's not very godly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it involves crime, so...
In an interview, Troy claims that he is sometimes able to solve cases through his dreams.
That's a very Allison move.
Mm-hmm. And Allison Dubois, she's referring to. And he has worked over...
We're best friends. She's from Phoenix.
Yeah, first name basis here. He has worked over 100 cold cases, not only in the States, but in several other countries. One thing, if it is true, that I find honorable is that 99% of the cases he's worked on have been unpaid. But then I paused because I watched another news report which gave conflicting information. In the news report I watched, it was ABC, they were saying that he charged $250 an hour to do any kind of investigative work. But then I also read he charges $250 for his reading. So I don't know if they got those numbers mixed up or if he really is truly doing these investigative pieces for free. Or cases for free.
Yeah,
not
cases.
Pieces.
Right, I'm thinking investigative journalism. Sorry. Yes.
And the case that actually led him to being really famous is when Kelsey Jean Schelling went missing. Do you remember this?
No, I don't even remember the name.
I don't either. It was 2013. She was a 21-year-old. She has long, beautiful, long brunette hair, super young, beautiful smile. She was 8 weeks pregnant, and she had found out that day.
Oh, my God.
And she had told her loved ones, like her family, hey, I'm going to go on a trip. She lives in Denver, and she's going to go to Pueblo to see her boyfriend. That was the last she was ever seen, like driving to see her boyfriend.
Oh, no. I'm guessing this is New Mexico because you said Pueblo?
Colorado.
Oh, Colorado. Okay. Sorry.
Pueblo's known for their green chilies. You know how, like...
Oh, yeah.
There's Hatch Valley in New Mexico.
Uh-huh.
They have, like, a rivalry with Pueblo.
Oh, I didn't know
Colorado.
that. Oh, shoot. Now I want to go. I'm hungry again. Damn it. Why food again?
Pueblo, I don't think there's much there. It's just kind of... Like, you know how most of Colorado is really beautiful? Mm-hmm. I don't think there's much to Pueblo, really. Anyway, okay, back to the story. Not on food. So 4 years later, there's still no signs of Kelsey, and her family is obviously losing their minds, and the investigation's really reached a dead end. And this particular case, like missing person case, had received a lot of attention. Is well known. I mean, I guess me and you didn't know about it, but it did have a lot of media attention.
Okay.
And this is when Kelsey's mother, Laura, reached out to Troy. I watched an old ABC news segment, and I was watching it, and all of a sudden it dawned on me that Sunny, do you know Sunny from The View? Do you know what that is? No, I don't. Okay. My guilty pleasure, Corey makes fun of me, but I like to watch The View. I know it's like a
suburban housewife thing.
Yes, but it's my guilty pleasure. I like watching it. I like to hear about...
We all got it. Mine used to be Fashion Police before Joan died.
So I watched The View. It's a half hour, and he's like, why do you like to watch these women yell at each other? I was like, I just like to learn about what's going on in the world in a different way. I always say he doesn't like it because it's women. I'm like, if it was a bunch of men yelling at each other, you wouldn't care. Anyway, regardless, back to my point.
That's true.
But yeah, so it's a young Sunny. She's actually doing the interview. I was like, no shit, that's Sunny. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, this must have been like when she was just first starting out.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But so in the ABC, long story short, let me get to it here. In the ABC news segment, they follow Troy. And Troy is like out in Pueblo trying to find Kelsey's body. And they're basically in the middle of nowhere. And he tells Sunny and the cameraman that he has a sense, or that he like has a feeling while he's there. If he comes across something, or if he has a real feeling that Kelsey's body's there, that physically you will be able to tell. He's going to appear to be very anxious. He'll start sweating. It's not only a mental sensation, it actually impacts him physically. He said that when he knows something, it almost feels like he has something caught in his throat. So they follow in the little segment. They follow him out. Troy doesn't find much. And then they later take him back and like do an interview one-on-one back in the studio. And in the interview, Troy does admit he's not always successful. Right. And he states that he tends to have about an 18 to 20% success rate.
Which doesn't seem very high.
No, and Sunny, from The View, like she would today, totally called his ass out.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she was like, that's not very high. It's a very low rate. And then he gets he's not like super sensitive, but he's also like, well, think about it. There are so many murder or missing person cases that never get solved. Yeah. So why would I be able to solve them all? I have like the same statistic as most of the cases that are solved by the police kind of thing.
Oh.
Kind of defending himself that it wouldn't make sense if he was able to solve all of them.
Okay.
Sunny presses him. She's like, well, where's the evidence?
Right.
If your success rate is 18 to 20%, which is a very specific number you're giving us, we would like to see evidence.
Yes, girl.
And he can't provide one example at all to verify that he's helped the police. And in the interview, he kind of like talks about, I've helped over 100 cases. And ABC News is kind of like, you're bullshit. Like, if you've helped over 100 cases, you would have one piece of evidence to show us that you've actually helped other people, right?
Right.
Oh, and ABC News actually, even after the interview, it's contained in the segment, they reach out to some of the police departments he worked with. And one of them in particular, he mentioned. And the police department, they said that they never contacted him and they weren't aware that he was even working on the case.
That's the same shit Allison pulled.
Yeah, so I don't know, was he working with them? Were they ashamed or is he lying?
Probably they were ashamed.
So, I mean, that I can't tell you. Was he actually working with them? Did he make it all up? Who knows? He also discusses that he was able to communicate with Kelsey, who's missing, right? But the only thing Kelsey was willing to communicate with him is that she was like apologetic to her mom. Like, I never thought this would happen to me. I'm so sorry. But she wouldn't disclose her whereabouts or what happened to her through the communication.
Okay.
So now this happened in 2013. So let's fast forward to 8 years later.
Okay.
Troy never helped solve the case, but we now know who did kill Kelsey. Who do you think it was?
The boyfriend?
Yes.
Always the boyfriend.
Yes. Well, and she was the day she found out she was 8 weeks pregnant.
Yep.
She goes missing.
Yep. Because he didn't want the baby, probably.
Yeah. It was her boyfriend, Dante Lucas, and he was sentenced to parole. And I believe he was found, because there's no witnesses, but he was found guilty due to cell phone evidence. But they still haven't found her body today.
Oh. And you won't tell anybody?
I didn't get too much into it because there wasn't a whole lot about a follow-up on the case.
It's terrible.
But I kind of questioned it too because there was no evidence. Oh, well, I guess there was cell phone evidence, but they couldn't find the body. Yeah.
Yeah, and usually convictions are supposed to be very hard without a body, so.
But that is the limited little bit I know. So I'm not going to make any assumptions. Sure. But okay, so now let's cut to Tiger King, right?
Yeah, let's get back to that.
At first, when I came across this, I don't remember Psychic being a part of Tiger King at all.
I don't either.
But then it came back to me.
Oh.
So it's Tiger King season 2. And for anyone who hasn't watched it yet, this is a season where they really focus on this disappearance or murder that bitch Carol Baskins did on Don Lewis.
Oh, yeah. That bitch did it. You don't need a psychic for that. That bitch killed her husband.
If we all remember, Carol Baskin claimed that Don had told her he was leaving for Costa Rica, right? And season 2, Don Lewis's daughter, in desperation, rightfully so, they want to know what happened to their father.
Absolutely.
And they reached out and hired Troy Griffen. Troy, at this point, had a YouTube channel. And he is pretty famous from his work with trying to find Kelsey's whereabouts. And he obviously has some kind of reputation in this medium world.
Sure.
Because at this point, you could tell in season 2, they are dolled up. They look a lot better.
They did. I agree. We were watching it together, we're like, wait a minute.
One of them, I was like, wow, she looks amazing. If you remember in my history episode, I discussed remote viewing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Troy does claim that he has this superpower. And this is when you can see things that are like far away or things that almost aren't there, right? Mm-hmm. When Troy works on a missing persons case or a case that has to do with murder, he always asks to see the victim's face. And the reason is he said that by looking into the person's picture, he can usually look into their eyes and it tells a story. So when he sees the picture of Don Lewis, he says...
Psychometry again.
Well, remote viewing could kind of be that. No, remote viewing... Well, it's both.
Yeah,
It could be both, a blend of both. He said that he saw Don Lewis and he could look into his eyes and basically see what happened to him.
What did he say?
Well, I'll get into it. But and it all came back to me now. I don't know how I blanked this out. And it sounds like you don't remember. But it's the infamous scene where Troy visits the last place that they had seen Don. And in this episode, Troy is so overwhelmed by bad energy, he claims, that he actually physically gets ill and pukes. Do you remember this?
No.
You don't remember this?
No.
Oh, you might want to get your memory tested.
I want to rewatch it.
Yeah, I remember this now because I was like, what the hell?
I remember the girls being... I think I fell asleep on your couch probably because that's what I do.
Yeah, I remember.
Off Bewitched Banter time. I just live on their couch. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But I remember the daughters being interviewed, and I do remember them being very desperate.
But you don't remember them hiring a psychic detective?
No.
Yeah. I remember I was laughing to myself because this is when we just started Bewitched Banter, and I was like, we have been talking about psychics and stuff, and I was like, oh my God, they hired a psychic detective? I was laughing, and then I do remember the scene, when I read about it, I was like, oh yeah, I do remember that. He does puke during the scene, for people who haven't seen it. He tells Don's daughters that Don was killed in that exact spot, and that is why he's like physically ill, because he's seeing these visions, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of like he told the ABC News, like, if he gets a vision, he's not only going to be mentally reacting to it, he's going to be physically reacting to it, right?
Right.
He also informs Don's daughters that he was killed from behind, and he wasn't suspecting it, so he couldn't defend himself. There wasn't that much information on about Troy, so I did a little bit of my own digging.
Okay, get it, sleuth.
And I found his first YouTube video.
And no. Is it like bad graphics and shit?
No, but I immediately felt like he was trying to monopolize off Tiger King series, because the first video I watched, it was like a promo, and it's like you could win a free reading of $200 value. And the caption read, hey, all you cool cat and kittens, enter to win your chance at a free reading. But,
oh, no.
But I don't feel like he's doing that well, because he only had 400 views, and I felt like for being on Tiger King, that's not that much.
And also, Carol Baskins, for as whack as she is, she got some really good attorney power. And if she knew he was using that, because that's her thing, she would come after him probably for that.
Yeah, and in the video, he asked people to predict when Tiger King 2, Season 2 is going to be released. He also says, hey, send me a message. Do you think it'll be pushed back because of all the lawsuits? And then I was like laughing to myself.
Oh my God, because he knew it was going to be pushed back.
But it was also the comments, like the normal thing, like, hey, if you're psychic, shouldn't you know? Like the normal.
Oh, yeah. That happens in mine.
Yeah, exactly. The same kind of lame argument. Like, whatever.
Oh my God.
That is, I saw Tiger, a psychic friend, not really a friend of Tiger King, but more of a friend of Don Lewis's family.
Yeah. Well, God bless whatever happened, but that bitch killed him.
Yep, but that's Troy Griffen, the Tiger King psychic. And I did not know that's where the story was going to take me.
Yeah, wild. Now I'm really pissed I didn't wear my PJs.
Yep.
Oh, well. Damn.
I know. I do think she killed him, though.
No doubt.
But season 2, I thought at first it was kind of like just a recap, but I thought Don Lewis's story, I don't want to give too much away for people who haven't watched it, but damn, he was involved in a lot of stuff, so I can see a little bit why there was a disappearance.
Yeah, well, so
if you remember anything,
right now they said.
Do you remember
it was
anything?
Like drugs, right? I do.
Okay,
right, that he was involved in some type of like drug or money laundering.
Well, he was traveling back and forth to Costa Rica, and didn't he have a brothel?
That's right.
He had a brothel,
brothel,
and then he was also
something with
and
cocaine.
Someone was watching him, I think,
like the FBI.
No, I can't. I mean, here we are. Our memory is awful.
Yeah, listen.
This is
Go watch
a real
it.
testament of our memory.
Hey, to be fair, this shit all happened in the COVID times.
No, this happened like a month or two ago.
Tiger King?
Yes.
Oh, Tiger King 2 was like this summer.
I think it was like a month or two ago.
Who cares? Today is St. Patrick's Day, for real. So happy St. Patrick's Day out there, and happy birthday, Allie and Ziggs.
And don't use the psychic detective to find your leprechauns.
No, or that pot of gold.
I mean, if a psychic detective is going to take me to a pot of gold, I don't care who you are.
Yeah? Ooh, you'll do it.
You wouldn't for a pot of gold?
Yeah, I definitely
I think
would.
you'd be the fool if you didn't. Well, that is a wrap. Next week, we are covering dreams, which I'm super excited to hear the history.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. And then I found a woman, a badass, that I'm just so excited to cover from a scientific lens. So.
And I am covering the sleepwalker killer. It has to do with sleepwalking and murder. Two things I didn't really think that would go together. It should be a very interesting case.
You're awesome. Well, I found that, and I found this just badass, like a good story is what I'm trying to say. A good story.
Okay, well, we'll start out with my story because it's going to be super dark, and then we'll end with Krista's on a good note.
Yeah.
So we can leave
female power.
Leaving you guys have the warm and fuzzies.
Well, since we posted a shitty episode of Shitty Women on International Women's Day, I felt like I kind of needed to make up for it with a badass. So.
Well, we didn't intentionally do that.
No, we didn't. But
we didn't plan that. It's just how it worked out. I was like, oops.
Sorry.
Not really feminist of us, but oh well.
Fuck it.
Let us know your thoughts. Do you believe in psychic detectives? Were we a total buzzkill on this entire week's topic about psychic detectives? Should we try to believe a little bit more? Let us know.
Yes. Happy St. Patty's one more time, and peace.
Don't drink too much green beer, and peace. Thanks for listening. Check us out on Instagram or bewitchbanter.com. Suggestions for the show? Email us at bewitchbanter@gmail.com. Credits, music Phantom Fun by Jonathan Boyle from premiumbeat.com. Podcast, edited and produced by Krista Hins and Amy Holt. As always, if you enjoyed, please rate, review, and subscribe.